In our world lead, a growing number of Americans are crossing the southern border and making Mexico City their new home. The reason? Well, remote work and cheaper living costs. But local residents in Mexico City say Americans are bringing in gentrification and are driving up everyday costs for Mexicans. CNN's David Culver takes a look at the cause and effect of Americans settling in Mexico City.
Look past the charming cafes, scenic parks, flashy apartments, and you'll see this capital city for what it's becoming, a refuge for migrants.
I grew up in New York. LA.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Perhaps not the border crossing you expected. Americans leaving pricey U.S. cities, heading south to work from home in Mexico City.
It is starting to feel like home. I've been here for several months already.
Born and raised in the U.S., Eric Rodriguez hardly speaks Spanish and admits he's not here to rediscover his Mexican roots so much as to save money.
In San Diego, my apartment was probably $2,500.
For a one bedroom?
For a studio.
For a studio.
Here, I have a one bedroom and I pay $800 a month.
The State Department says 1.6 million U.S. citizens live in Mexico, but they don't say how many are living and working there on tourist visas. The Mexican government does not track that data either, but they recorded more than 5.3 million American tourists flying in during just the first 5 months of this year, nearly a million more than that same period in 2019, pre-pandemic. Rodriguez is among the unrecorded but undeniably present so-called digital nomads, here officially as tourists, most working remotely for U.S. companies, still getting paid in U.S. dollars, allowing for a far more affordable life in Mexico.
I think there was a sense of, we want people to come here to stimulate the economy. Thank you for being here. But I know that recently there's been kind of complaints from locals about the effect that expats living here has had on their own lifestyles.
Sandra Ortiz is one of them.
Los precios más elevados porque saben que es puro extranjero.
The prices are going up high. She said it's difficult because a lot of these foreigners come and they have a bunch of money to be able to spend on some of these apartments and rents.
For more than 50 years, Ortiz and her 4 siblings ran a restaurant popular with locals on a prime corner in the increasingly desirable Roma neighborhood. But as prices climbed, Ortiz says it became unaffordable for the family. And in February, she says they were evicted. All their belongings piled onto the sidewalk.
You had 5 minutes to get everything out and move it out of the business.
So where do the locals go? That's what we need to be asking ourselves, Fernando Bustos Grospe tells me. The pandemic, coupled with global inflation, have made matters worse, leaving locals in fear of a culture clash. This is part of the problem, he says. The expats move here because it's cheap, not because they want to truly immerse in the local culture. Families like the Ortizes feel they're getting pushed out. Sandra and 2 of her siblings now working at another restaurant, no longer the owners. The thought of visiting their old restaurant? Too painful. We went by, renovations already underway. High-end apartments coming soon.
And Jake, for folks who are looking at this report and say, well, perhaps I'll take my work from home to Mexico City, it does seem like there is an unofficial crackdown underway right now on part of the Mexican government. We're hearing from some U.S. travelers who say that as soon as they arrive, Mexican officials at the border are limiting their stay to some as few as just 10 days, saying they need to leave after being in the country for 10 days. Now, again, this is unofficial, so we've asked the Mexican government about this. They say, as of now, their current policy still stands, so there's no change, but it does show you there is some effort to try to curb this a bit. That said, it's a delicate dance for some of these officials, because on one part, they want to crack down and try to limit people staying too long, but on the other, Jake, they don't want to dissuade U.S. tourism, which brings in billions of dollars every year.